We already installed the clutch assembly, and now we are preparing our transmission so we can bolt it to the engine. Things that we're gonna be doing: install the shift fork, throw out bearing. We are now ready to install the throw out bearing and the shift fork. We're using Honda grease again. And this is how you assemble it. I usually put these two together first, and then the end part will be going to that hole, and then it should lock in place. And now that we have our shift fork and throw out bearing installed, we'll be getting ready for this transmission to be mounted back to the car. Whenever you're ready to put the transmission back in the car, don't forget to remove your alignment tool, which is this guy, and I'll get ready to have new dowel pins as well. We have 2 dowel pins that we're gonna be using. And you also want to position your transmission like that at the bottom. You can use floor jack or transmission jack to lift it up. For this demonstration, I will show you how to put it in by just carrying the transmission on top. So don't forget to put 2 new dowel pins, one on this side and the other one would be that spot. Man, my blister just popped off. Yep, I got it when I was cooking some pork chops the other night. So I will just cover it like that. And then that's a bigger band-aid. And I think that will be good for now. Duct tape fixes everything. Now she's lined up. So once you have that one supported and hand tight with one of the bolts, this is how it looks like. Now we're putting the bolts back reversed order. So the last two bolts that we removed was the very top on this side, and that's the one that we're gonna put in first. So if this is your bolts, we know that these two bolts goes on top. And those two are 17mm, so you just want to lightly snug it, but you don't want to tighten it up yet because we have some more bolts that we need to put in. So we just want to make sure that this one lines up correctly. And this is your transmission bracket. You don't want all the bolts to be super tight for now. Just finger tight. Next thing that we're gonna be doing is secure this rear transmission bracket. It's held by 4 bolts, and it will be this guys. 1 very top, 2 on the middle, and then the shortest one would go towards here. Now we want to go ahead and install this bracket. This one is connected at the very top with a 12mm bolt and one here at the bottom. After installing that bracket, the next one that we're going to be installing is the bolt that goes from the engine side bolting to the transmission. A bolt that goes from the transmission to the engine, and that bolt is gonna be under here at the clutch sleeves. After installing that bolt, the next thing that we're gonna be mounting back here would be the engine stiffener that covers the flywheel. After we install the engine stiffener, the next thing that we're gonna be installing now would be the Crossmember center beam. would be this guy. So it's held by 3 14mm towards the front and 2 14mm towards the back. Next component that we're installing is this right radius arm. That one, the 2 bolts at the end bolts in to that guy, to those 2 holes, and then this one goes straight through that. After installing the radius arm, the next thing that we're gonna be doing is to install the passenger side axle. Yep, and then after that, it will be the driver's side axle, and we're getting closer and closer. We are now getting ready to install both of the new axles. So those are the old ones, and these are the new ones. We're now ready to insert our axle. And now you want to put back the upper bolt joint. After that, the next thing that we want to install would be the tie rod end. And then after that, we're just securing the brake fluid line and the ABS sensor wiring. We are using the supplied axle nut. After you tighten this axle nut, you want to make an indentation from this ring that jams toward that keyway. So just a regular screwdriver or a punch, you can use that. After installing the passenger side axle, the next thing that we're gonna be doing is to install the driver's side. The only extra thing that we need to do is to bolt this 3 bolts towards the engine side, and then this one inserted to the transmission. And this is the old axle, broken axle, and this is the new one. So we're gonna be installing that first, and then we're gonna be inserting this. Now we're ready to install the shaft. The end of the shaft goes inside the transmission. After installing the first half of our shaft, we will be doing the same thing that we did on the passenger side to install the axle here on the driver's side. And let's get to it. After installing the axle on the driver's side, we are now installing everything here on top. So the only thing that we have left to do is to install the starter, tighten up this nuts, 1, 2, 3 nuts, and one of the bolt, and 2 of the upper bolts here, the banjo bolt that supplies clutch fluid, the shifter cable needs to be installed, the speed sensor, and the reverse light. We'll be installing the banjo bolt to that connector that supplies fluid to our clutch. And for the banjo bolt, don't forget to use new crash washers. After installing the banjo bolt, now we want to install 2 shifter cables. So we have to install this battery tray bracket at the bottom. Although we are installing the battery, but I'm not gonna put this one back yet because we still have to fill up the transmission with manual transmission fluid and our clutch fluid as well, and get ready to be bled. And now we're ready to fill up our manual transmission with fluid. Before you do that one, make sure that the car is leveled. So I have the 2 front on jack stands, and the rear end is on jack. And then supplies, you need a funnel like this, and you also need manual transmission fluid. So we will be using around 2 to 2.2 quarts of manual transmission fluid. And this is your drain plug, and that's your fill bolt, your fill hole. You just have to put in your hose to that one, slowly fill it up with manual transmission fluid, and then you put back the bolt and torque it down to specs, and that's pretty much it. And this is how I placed my funnel. And this is where I'm going to pour in that manual transmission fluid. Okay, I just finished filling up the transmission with my preferred transmission fluid. So I preferred those purple thingamajigs. It's up to you. You can use whatever transmission fluid brand that you would prefer, but I'm using those purple things. You pour in your liquid slowly, and then you know that that the transmission is already full when start to backflow, and you just put in your bolt and then tighten it up and torque it on specs. And that's pretty much it for filling up your transmission fluid. Next thing that we're gonna be doing is to bleed the clutch. In order to do so, first things first, you want to make sure that you have liquid. This one is dry. Yep, we want to fill this one up, and I'm only doing it by myself, so I will be doing the gravity fed method. Okay, after we fill up our manual transmission with fluid and add fluid to our clutch master cylinder, and then after we bled, the only thing that I've done after that was to put back your coolant reservoir, hook up the batteries, and put back the tires. And if you find this video helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any other DIYs that I will be putting out on this channel. Thank you.